Keep your blaster handy, the West is a dangerous place. Fight to survive as men turn to monsters and the dead rise on the Wild West Exodus Hub at beastsofwar.com. Venture into the dangerous dungeons of myth as a mighty hero and stand against the darkness. Visit the Myth Hub on beastsofwar.com and begin your story.
So, hi guys, welcome to What's in the Box. Time for something different.
Yes, this is a little bit of Eden, since
Yeah.
you've become such a big fan of them.
You know me, post-apocalyptic for me. Sold!
I think it's really just, this is a shiny model, Justin. You want it, right, Justin? It's very shiny, isn't it, Justin? Look, we can even teach you how to play it, Justin. Look how shiny it is, Justin.
You're going to fall off your seat in a minute.
And then he gets into the game.
Of course, I always get into the game.
And no one plays with you.
Lies. Lies. Because we actually had the guys from Eden across a little while back.
We did.
And they taught me how to play, and I really did enjoy the game.
Yep.
The game's interesting because it only plays on a 2x2 surface.
Yeah, so the combat area is very small.
It's very condensed. You're really having to echo out your tactics in it. But what we have today is Dante's Angels, which is one of the newer factions for the game.
Yep.
And look, you get a motorbike with a guy with a big sword, and he's bald with a beard.
See, this is what sells it to Justin. Is
Bald
just,
with a beard.
Bald with a beard and motorbike.
Yeah.
And big sword.
And massive flag.
Anyway,
Let's
get on with
crack
it.
Right, now, this is a full starter set.
Right.
So in the box, you are getting a little set of game rules, which is really nice. You're getting all your stat cards, because I love any game with stat cards.
Yep.
Your minis, which I'm going to have John unpack for me here.
Okay.
And then you get a little postcard with some nice artwork on it.
So,
And a little bit of fluff.
a
So
little
these
bit.
guys are actually from France.
Uh-huh.
For the longest time, the game rules were in French, but they are in English now. So all of our English speakers out there, don't worry, you can learn to play.
Yep.
This is also a limited edition set, so those little resin bits go with Zagan, our biker guy. So while you're opening that, I will open the stat cards because we'll show them with it. The other thing is the game actually gives us tactical cards as you play through.
Right.
So at the start of each turn, you have a special resource that's generated from everybody's intelligence, which is the little head stat on here. If I bring this up. So everybody has the 4 stats. So you have your head, your arms, your main body, and your legs. Zagan's different because he has a motorbike, so it acts as a bit of extra armor. If you roll wrong, it's just going onto the bike and doing no damage to him.
Yeah, so you could miss him but hit the bike or something like that. Yeah.
The key thing is, once you only have the red pips left, you're using the red stat. And then the dice shown beside it is telling you what's hitting where.
Yeah.
Okay? So, if we start off with some of the bits.
Right, so we'll start off with this guy here. He's got like a big circular sword, or circular saw axe.
Yeah, so this is Andreas.
Uh-huh.
So Andreas is a big, nasty melee fighter. One thing I love about this game, very few guns.
Yeah, I have noticed
There's
that.
very little projectile weaponry. So Andreas himself, as you can see, he's big and he's beefy. You've got these 4 little spikes which go onto his belly, and you have his, as John described it, big circular saw axe, which is quite nasty. He also has a spanner. So I'm guessing he's something of a mechanic for the motorcycle.
Well, he's either a mechanic or just really likes hitting people with really big spanners. I mean,
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
if
possibly.
I had a big spanner.
Well, you see, his starting stat, the numbers actually denote a dice pool. So he's starting on 6, which is quite a lot of dice in such a small skirmish game to be thrown at your opponent to hit them. He's got his belly plate, which means he's getting +2 armor as well. So basically, 2 of your successes get taken away, so he's really, really tough to kill.
Yep.
Now, on the back, they do have a lot of abilities, but we'll not get into those just yet because it's quite hefty. And once you start learning to play, you really get into the meta of it.
Yep.
There is one that I like, though, here. It's called Insult. So basically, he can scream a stream of profanity at an opposing player and force them to charge him next turn.
Right.
You know, so he can really draw people out of position.
Yeah, so he pretty much provokes.
Yes, he can provoke people.
So, next up,
we have Moloch, the guy with the gun, one of the few guys with a gun. So his miniature is single piece, which is impressive, just because of the pose of him. But his whole thing is his gun does specific types of damage, and this guy, There are status effects in the game. He's essentially a sink for those. So basically, as status effects get put onto your other miniatures, they get transferred to him.
Right.
And because of the way he is, he doesn't take the status effect. So he's sort of taking out a segment of the game going, nope, I'll have that.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
thank you. You're not hurting my friends today. Who do we have next?
Right, we have the lady.
We have the lovely Lilith. She's a knife fighter and a cannibal.
That's slightly disturbing, but okay.
So the whole thing is, as she damages people,
Yeah.
she regains her health.
Right.
You know, so she's a standard fighter, not quite as strong as Andreas, but she's very, very nasty once she gets into close combat. And that ability to actually hurt people and start taking health back off them is very, very useful. The one thing I have noticed, these miniatures have a little bit more lead in them than most, so there's a little bit more flex to them.
Yeah.
Because I had noticed whenever I opened this pack up, her ankle was actually really twisted the first time, and I was actually fit to pull it back without it actually tearing, that I've seen some of the harder metals do.
Yep.
Which is also why these miniatures aren't quite so shiny.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so there's a difference for you. Lastly, we have the big man himself.
We have the bike.
Yes, now, Zagan is a human seraph.
And what does that
something-
mean?
It's something new from the story, which means he has extra abilities on top of everybody else.
Yep.
Because he's riding around on a bike, he gets command cards for the bike.
Okay.
So you have things like full throttle, skid, impact, that kind of thing.
Yep. Right, well,
So if you give me his bits,
have the bike.
yeah. So I'll show off the bike first. It's got a really retro feel to it.
It does. It has that sort of like 1930s.
Yeah, I was
Sort of
actually
look to it.
thinking 1940s,
Well,
You know, just
30s,
post-war.
40s. Yeah, yeah.
but the details are fantastic on it. A little bit fiddly to put together, I'm guessing, but we'll get to that.
Well, do you know, he doesn't look that bad because you've only got the bike, the main body, the handlebars, an arm, and a leg, and a flag.
Yeah, well, if you pass those on through,
Yep.
I will show them off to everybody. The sword I really like, just because it's such a brutal piece of kit. You know, it's sort of got a Final Fantasy-esque feel to it.
It has that sort of gigantic blade syndrome thing, which
Yeah,
you know,
I quite
works
like.
works in a lot of universes very
yeah,
well.
I quite like it. You've got your handlebars with, well, a hand on it. You've got Zagan's upper body
Yep.
with that glorious beard,
Eh.
and you have a little flag. Now, there's one other thing that comes with this kit, which is some extra upgrade bits for Zagan. Now, it is limited edition. I'm not sure if you can still get your hands on them, but I
Yeah.
do want to show them off.
If you happen to get your hands on it, this is what you get in the pack.
So, if I open this up, now these bits are resin, I will warn you, so they are a little bit fragile. So you get a different banner aside from the flag, which
Yep.
is quite nice. You get an axe instead of the sword, which is kind of Grim Reaper-ish.
It is actually. I would maybe change that into a scythe.
Maybe.
It would fit.
You get a different hand and a different set of handlebars with a body on them. Now, like I said, a little fragile, so these ones have particularly taken a little bit of damage. And you have a set of front spikes for the bike, just if you want to add a little extra detail.
Yeah.
This kit I really like. And the game itself has one other facet that really, really intrigues me.
Go on.
I build my force, right? I take it to the table, I show it to my opponent, right?
Yep.
From that point, you're picking a secret or public mission card, which makes the game change a lot. So you have some where it's just kill everything, but you have others where you have a VIP, you're trying to get all the way across the board into the enemy's deployment.
Right.
And some of the abilities some of them have are very nasty because some models you can't charge, some models force you to charge them, some have throwing stuff. You even get Molotov cocktails in this, which is quite fun. Right, anyway, guys, I think we'll move on. We'll get these built. In fact, John, I'm going to call it now. I will build these,
Okay.
and we will see you in part 2.
Anime cyberpunk style meets skirmish combat in Infinity. Experience 8 high-tech factions and fight to control the human sphere at the Infinity Hub on beastsofwar.com. Humanity has been driven from Earth, but now it's time to take it back. Join the Reconquest and fight the Scourge on the Drop Zone Commander Hub at beastsofwar.com.
Okay, guys, we're back for part 2 of Dante's Angels from Eden. I built these.
You did. How did you find them?
I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
There was quite a little bit of flash on these, but with that, I believe, higher lead content, it was really easy actually to clean them up. You
Yeah.
know. The metal's a little bit softer, so you have a little bit more play in it whenever you're trying to get stuff to fit.
Yeah.
Which I really, really like.
Can
So,
I also just point out before you switch to closed cam?
Right.
It's probably not lead,
Well,
because lead's toxic.
well,
It's probably zinc.
well, higher zinc then. If I've got it wrong, I apologize.
A metallurgist, he is not.
No. No. Trying to get all posh and stuff.
I'm not being posh.
Right, so here we have Zagan on
Yeah.
the motorcycle.
He does look pretty badass now that he's built and he's got some primer down on him. And
Yeah, now the only add-on bit I stuck on was the spikes at the front. I like the other stuff, but I like how he looks in
As
his
is.
standard form,
yeah,
because he is just quite badass.
yeah.
There's another little character for this faction I really like. It's a little kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
About 10 years old,
Yep.
rocking around in an army helmet with a massive chainsaw.
Okay.
Effective warrior,
Yeah.
incredibly effective. We then have Moloch
Mm-hmm.
with his gun. I'm still impressed that he's a one-piece mini and looks quite so good.
Yeah, you usually get a lot of issues where a lot of one-piece models look very flat.
Yeah, but I mean, like, yes, from that angle you can see that's where the flat of the actual cast would be.
Yeah.
But he does look quite good.
Yeah.
We then have our next guy. I quite like him. He's useful in game because I have played with him. And then we have Lilith with her lovely little dagger and a nice little bit of a rock on the base. I like the fact that it's not just miniatures on a flat base. They're giving you a little bit of terrain with it.
Yeah, it's just a bit more scenic. It feels a bit more thematic more than anything else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And once you get them all sitting together, the crew does just fit really, really well.
Yeah, they do look well stood next to each other, that's for sure. I mean, yeah, it's nice. It's not a game that I've particularly looked at yet, because there's a million and one games I should be looking at.
Yes, but there's a million and one games everybody should be looking at. But Eden's definitely one of those ones where it's really down close. You're right down in it, the action, and all the tactical options you get from playing the game really, really make you think. Whenever I was playing through with Frédéric, we were working through some tactical scenarios, and there was one I actually came up with where he actually had bother trying to find the counteract to it. You know, this is one of the creators of the game, one of the head honchos, and he's just going there, now how the hell do I get around this? You know, now that's the sign of a good game to me, whenever your tactics can beat anyone.
Whenever Justin's tactics can beat the game's designer.
I have some. I've beat you often enough on the tabletop.
Yeah, I don't pretend to be a gamer. I don't pretend to know what I'm doing when I'm at the tabletop.
Well, guys, keep an eye out. We will have more Eden content on the horizon. It's definitely a game worth checking out. John, I will get you to look at something from this range and something that you will like.
That's something we'll find out.
Yeah, right, guys, we'll move on here. Hopefully you enjoyed that quick look at Dante's Angels. We'll see you in the next video.
From Viking halls to the cities of the future, terrain buffs will love our foreground hub. Watch gaming tables of all genres come to life at beastsofwar.com. Progress comes to a world of magic as science and the arcane combine to make marvels. Meet steampunk inventors and orc mystics at the Volsung Hub on beastsofwar.com.